Hello y'all, this is Kaiserredux, a Hearts of Iron 4 mod that acts as an unofficial standalone expansion for the Kaiserreich mod. Kaiserreich itself is set in a timeline where the Central Powers won World War I. With that introduction finished, this video will serve as part 1 of a Swiss Confederation Edward VIII path playthrough. We have begun, and now let's go to our political overview. In this we can see that we have 4 national spirits, and they are Swiss neutrality, active vigilance, I probably didn't pronounce that right, memories of Geneva, and empty generalship. And besides all of that, the ruling party ideology of the country is market liberalism, and the leader of the country effectively is the Swiss Federal Council, even though it's not so much of a leader, it's more of leaders. But anyway, go to our research slots now. We have 3 of those. Do basic machine tools, then construction 1, and finally electronic mechanical engineering. So start that will take 90 days. As for our military, our army consists of 9 divisions, 6 are infantry, 3 are mountain infantry. We have no navy since we're landlocked, unfortunately. But we do have an air force, and that consists of 2 air wings, 1 for fighters and 1 for tactical bombers. And let's grab our army now and just take all of them and put them on the border of our western neighbor, the Commune of France. Henry Guisson can lead these troops here, go to Geneva and just defend it. And we'll go to the construction tab, start making another civilian factory in the eastern part of Switzerland. As for divisions, let's start training 1 infantry division in Switzerland. Will the Swiss Confederation have these guys ready soon? And we have a few planes in reserve, so let's deploy one of those now. Where's our air base? I gotta find it. Where is it? Seriously, where? Okay, right here. What am I doing? So now let's deploy about 50 of these planes. We have a lot of planes in reserve. Wow, a lot of fighters. So get these moved here. I think some of these are German, I think. Just looking at them, looking at their models, but whatever. Get these planes deployed now. 1 more, well, 10 more. There we go, 50 planes. That's a new air wing for the Swiss. Great. And go back to the focus tree. Well, we weren't in the focus tree, but here in the focus tree, let us do birth of Swiss monarchism. This will take 35 days. So it says, with 1936 dawning, we must accept the harsh reality we are faced with. Republicanism is a failed ideology. This truth has been proved both in our council chambers and in the fires of the Weltkrieg, showing our tiny nation the light of monarchism as the Kaiser marched to victory. With many believing that a second war is on the horizon, we must prepare ourselves for the coming storm. And what better way to prepare than to establish a monarchy, finally bringing prestige, stability, and order in these trying times. And once this focus is done, the Swiss Regency Council will become the leader of the Market Liberal Party, and the Swiss Confederation will transform into the Kingdom of Switzerland. So this will take 35 days. Get that started now. And I should be expecting a background event on the country soon. It just gives us some details about the country, well, recent history of the country. And there we go. The state of Switzerland. The Swiss Confederation saw crisis in the 19th century. In several cantons, liberal powers prevailed, calling for more democracy and more centralism. This met the opposition of the Catholic, conservatively dominated cantons who formed the Sonderbund in 1845. The Sonderbund War erupted in 1847, which saw the liberals as victors. In 1848, a federal constitution was ratified, turning the loose League of Cantons into a federal state with a new federal capital in Bern. The new constitution created new institutions like the Federal Council, the Federal Assembly, and the Federal Court. Switzerland remained neutral throughout the Weltkrieg, although there were various domestic conflicts between German and French-speaking Swiss citizens. In addition, economic problems arose, completely surrounded as the country was by warring nations. The radical left gained a lot of support during that time, and in 1919 a strike in Geneva called for by the workers' movement attempted to push through major social changes. The attempt failed because of the fear of spreading of French syndicalism and its subsequent repression by the Swiss government. But in its wake, social reforms were begun, bringing about higher wages and shorter work days. In 1919, the system of proportional representation was introduced. The conservative Friesland lost their majority, while the Social Democrats grew stronger. Into the 1930s, domestic politics were governed in response to the conflict between Social Democrats and conservatives. The struggles between communities in Switzerland are now taking more political values. French speakers are more socialist, Germans more conservative, and Italians more clerical. Will the rising belligerence in Europe have consequences on the neutral Confederation? Onwards. And let us now unpause, and we have this whole decision here about Upper Savoy. This whole decision mechanic thing we should be worried about with Upper Savoy, since the Commune of France has cores on it, and we are basically occupying it. So the French may want that one day, which that could be a problem, honestly. I think we may get an event about that soon, explaining the situation there. And how is this focus doing now? The birth of Swiss monarchism has about, say, 22 more days or 23 more days until it's done. The 1936 Riga Olympics have occurred. And George Outremer visits England. He's like a totalist potential. Let me check here. Is he a totalist leader? I don't know. Why is the Swiss Federal Council in charge of everything? They just are? I guess they are. That is interesting. So the Swiss Federal Council is all ideologies, technically, isn't it? Huh. Interesting. Anyway, unpause now. I was just looking at that. I was sort of shocked by that. So the Swiss Federal Council is every ideology. That is just interesting, in my opinion. Just fascinating. And birth of Swiss monarchism will be done in about, say, let me check effectively, 14 days. So we just got to wait now, get that focus done. And Edward VIII is crowned King of Great Britain. And this focus, this world news event is pretty important for us, so let's read it. George V, the last King of Great Britain and Ireland, to have ruled the Home Isles themselves, has passed while in exile in Canada. The first Windsor King, his reign shall be remembered with sorrow and sadness, as during it Britain lost both the Veltkrieg and its homeland. The crown was inherited by Edward, Prince of Wales, who now stylizes himself as Edward VIII. King Edward is a vengeful and ambitious man, and not on good terms with Prime Minister Mackenzie King. He lives on the goal of avenging his father and reconquering the British Isles, and thus is quite popular among the British Isles and Canada, among others. And that is Edward VIII, who is in charge of the Kingdom of Canada now, and here he is across the Atlantic. Here's his portrait and all that. So we got an idea who he is as a person in this world. And birth of Swiss monarchism will be done very soon. Just waiting for we have 6 days. Yay. So we just got to wait a few more days. And there's some Italian troops from the Italian Federation doing some exercises on our border. Do we have military access with them? I think we do. We do, yeah. Afghanistan's now going to fight the Dominion of Delhi. And birth of Swiss monarchism is done. The Great Berlin stock market crash has occurred. It could be bad for us. It could have some consequences. This will be bad for the economy. Let's just say that. And in the focus tree, let us complete Crown Edward VIII. This will take 35 days. If any man is fit to rule Switzerland, surely it is to exile King of England, Edward, is it not? Though he and his father may have lost their throne in London, the Anglos will have a second shot at glory here. And once this is done, Edward VIII will become the leader of the Market Liberal Party in the Kingdom of Switzerland. So the Swiss Regency Council will be replaced. And we're going to get hit by Black Monday, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, we can just move soldiers into the Italian Federation's territory if we want to. I don't know why we have military access with them, but we just do. Electoral gridlock in France, and Black Monday hits Switzerland. The recent run on the Berlin Stock Exchange is not without consequences for Switzerland. The Swiss economy relies heavily on German trading, and the collapse of the German markets has sent immediate shockwaves through the Swiss economy. We must act if we are to save our economy from total collapse. The horror, and now we lose 20 political power, 2% base stability, and get a national spirit called Effects of Black Monday, which makes it 50% more slower to build anything in the country, that is very bad. That is very, very bad. And our divisions here, moving back from the Italian Federation, I was just showing off the military access we have with them. I'm not sure if we'll ever lose that. It probably depends on what ideology, but what leader they get in the long term, I guess. Currently, the Pope is in charge of the Italian Federation, and we can maintain the peace in North Savoy. And let's fortify it just to tell the French we're not going to give it up without a fight. And farmers are hit by Black Monday. While the German economy with the German economy in free fall, the prices of many agricultural goods have fallen with it. Swiss farmers, heavily reliant on trade with Germany, have been hit almost overnight, and many have taken to the streets to protest the government's inaction over the issue. The BGB, the Party of Farmers, Traders, and Independents, who represents the interests of many Swiss farmers, and the social conservative KKP, Catholic Conservative Party, have begun wavering in their commitment to the current governing alliance of conservative and market liberal parties. This isn't good, and from that we lose 5 political power. And let me stop building this civilian factory and start building land forts on the border we have with the Commune of France, just so we'll be ready for any potential war. We need like level 10 land forts. We need them desperately here, just in case. We have a ton of forts in general. I just need to make every single province we have into a fortress. Every province a fortress. That is the objective for the Kingdom of Switzerland now. And Crown King Edward has about, say, 15 more days until it's done. So we're just waiting there. And we're just watching the French. What are they doing? These Italian soldiers are still doing exercises in the Ulster Valley. And they have only one province here. I just realized that. That's a one-province state. Huh. Interesting. Death of Pius XI, so the Pope is dead. And he'll be succeeded by one of 4 men. And they are Pope Pius XII, Julius IV, John the 13th, I think, and Stephen X, or I guess Stephen X. And Gallo seizes control of Ecuador. KKP, let me read this. The KKP and the BGB lead the bourgeois bloc. The bourgeois bloc, the informal alliance of the popular market liberal FDP with the BGB and the KKP conservative parties, has long stood as the most stalwart of Swiss political institutions, working to ensure that conservative interests are satisfied and that aggressive radical socialist and syndicalist parties remain marginalized. Today, that relationship was severed as the Catholic Conservative Party, the KKP, and the Party of Farmers, Traders, and Independents, the BGB, announced their loss of confidence in FDP's ability to handle the economy in the wake of the Black Monday disaster. With Switzerland's greatest political parties beginning to fight amongst themselves rather than against socialism, there will be room for smaller parties to make their move, and we are in a precarious situation indeed. And from this event, we'll lose 30 political power, and the popularity of market liberalism as an ideology will go down. So that is bad for the Swiss Regency Council, but it's not going to matter relatively soon. So Crown Edward VIII is almost done. One more day. Come on. And that is done now. And this part of the focus tree, for the record, oh my goodness, I got to read this now. And Marshal Pétain declares martial law in Algiers. Okay. The occupation of Haute-Savoy or North Savoy. Is this North Savoy? Let me make sure it's called that. Yeah, Upper Savoy. Well, Upper Savoy. The occupation of Upper Savoy. In 1815, at the Congress of Vienna, Switzerland was given the legal right to maintain the neutrality of Upper Savoy in exchange for relinquishing all official claims on the region. During the Weltkrieg, as France was falling to syndicalist revolutionaries, the Swiss government found it necessary to send soldiers to protect the region from the chaotic violence of the time. Shortly after, the true French government was exiled to Africa, and Switzerland has maintained her military occupation of the region until a time that France returns to the mainland to reclaim it. This, of course, has not sat well with the current government in Paris, which has actively attempted to reclaim the province. We will fulfill our legal mandate. And so Edward VIII is in charge of the country now. And like I was saying earlier, I think for the record, this part of the focus tree, this monarchist part of it, is supposed to only be seen by the player, I think. But anyway, usually it just ends up with the market liberals getting back into power and the monarchy getting abolished after like a month. But for the sake of this playthrough, I'm not going to do that. We're going to keep Edward VIII in charge. And the problem with that is that we're not going to be able to do some of these focuses here, but it's fine. We'll just have to bear it and recover from Black Monday now. So let's complete reversed economic downturn. After the disastrous hit to our economy that was Black Monday, it has become clear that the government needs to take immediate action in order to save the Swiss economy from suffering a complete meltdown. And from this, we'll get 100% research bonus for industry technology. And so as for who Edward VIII was in real life, historically he was the King of the United Kingdom in 1936. I would say he is mainly known as a monarch who abdicated his position to marry a divorcee, and that is pretty much who he's known as in pop culture overall, I would say. Well, and just in history in general. If that's the one defining fact about him, that's the most people know of him. And so he's the leader of Switzerland now. He has his I think he has an animated portrait, which is pretty neat, but yeah, he's our leader now. And our long-term goal is to ultimately defeat the Commune of France and the Union of Britain so that we can reclaim the home isles for Edward VIII and get a victory there and just take over all of the what would be considered the UK. Well, this part anyway, just Britannia, not Northern Ireland or anything like that. Just get all of Britain in charge. We'll just have Switzerland in charge of all of Britain. So we're waiting for this focus to be done. That'll take 49 days. And we just got to get over Black Monday. It is rough for us, definitely rough. And with that said, I'm going to end what is part 1 of my Swiss Confederation Edward VIII Path playthrough in the Hearts of Iron 4 mod Kaiserredux here. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe. You can check out the mod in the video description. The link to it is there.